Hey everybody, what is going on? I am Maximus Rex and this is Big Baby Reviews. Today we are looking at the next issue in the New Mutants run of a certain Rob Liefeld. That is issue 99, cover dated March 1991, the penultimate issue. If you don't know, New Mutants actually ends with issue 100, so that is the next issue. And what's going on here? This is, first of all, on this cover, a reference to John Byrne, an old X-Men issue. So Liefeld, thankfully, has kind of credited Byrne down here. So this is what you would call an homage cover and not a swipe, because it is credited to the original artist. Sunspot is a character who did not move on to X-Force a little bit later, so this is the issue where he basically quits. I will point that situation out when we get to it, because I just do find it's very kind of odd and just kind of quickly worked through. I'll explain when we get there. As for the cover, well, like I said, it is an homage cover. I think Rob Liefeld does a pretty good job of recreating that with the New Mutants at the time and what will become kind of the future X-Force characters. Right now, you're kind of looking at most of X-Force here. You're just missing, I believe, two characters that will actually be introduced in this issue. So without further ado, let's open this guy up, have a look inside. So right off the bat, we got the good old vertical 90s panels, and bonus on that, we've got our thick black border. Make any joke there you want. Let's move on. Basically introduced to Farrell here and the Morlocks. She lives with them. And here she escapes. I think this is her introduction. I might be wrong, but I'm pretty sure this is it. And you know, when Liefeld, it feels like when he's jazzed about a character, he really puts the effort in. So you'll notice throughout this issue, even though there's some drawings, I think, which suffer kind of from deadline-itis or something, I guess is how I describe it. The fact that you have a deadline, you got to move on. So some of the drawing may suffer a little bit throughout the issue. When it comes to the new characters introduced, in this case, Farrell, and later on, near the end of the issue, spoilers, it's going to be Shatterstar. He's really putting in the effort. It's like he's still got that energy related to the creation of a new character, and he's, you know, very happy to be throwing that on the page. I think Liefeld is inking himself here. I just have to gonna have to confirm that when we get to the credits. And I think he's still working some stuff out a little bit here and there, how to get enough detail in there, you know, on a deadline. And I think all these kind of stumbling blocks he's kind of showing in some of the inking, you know, kind of real quick and maybe inefficient, he'll have worked out by the time X-Force issue 1 comes out. And I think, again, that look there is kind of the peak Liefeld, but we're pretty darn close here. It feels like those lines are still a bit thick for a Liefeld line. His line's going to get very, very fine, and possibly just generally a little bit more detail in the features and stuff. But Rob Liefeld still giving us lots of storytelling in these later on issues of New Mutants right before the end. Black border. Kind of some odd kind of cropping on these here. On all of these. I mean, I get what's going on, just maybe odd choices. Like, I guess maybe it's a deadline situation again, right? Because she's escaping here, but we don't really see the hatch she's escaping through. You know, they catch her tail, but, you know, too late. I don't know, just odd choices here. We get, you know, the Liefeld down shot, which I always enjoy. I think he does well. Cable, I mean, Warpath looks insanely huge. Cable is insanely huge, but smaller than Warpath. And then this, I guess this is a waiter, is just absolutely tiny compared to both of them. And again, you know, because of the lettering, I guess somehow Liefeld figured out he doesn't have to draw the arm behind there. Because, yeah, if I go on this, he's bringing them food or something on a plate, right? Here, it seems to have shifted from one hand to the other. We've talked about, I'm sure, before, these continuity issues, I guess, between panels and stuff in Liefeld stories. And also, just, you know, no need to draw the rest here. It's just going to obscure the lettering, and I can move on and do something else. Deadlines, my friends. All right, so what do we got for credits? Rob Liefeld, plot, pencils, and inks. So he is doing his inks on this. Okay. I guess from this checkered background, I should have guessed, right? This is, I think, where he starts really using a lot of that. And it's one of the Liefeld tropes, which I don't feel like he uses much anymore. And I wish in his newer stuff, and I wish he would bring it back. I think it would help, you know, bring back add to the Liefeld. You know what I mean? I guess is how I'd put it, right? It wouldn't diminish the Liefeld. It would just add a bit more of that Liefeld energy that's kind of missing these days in some of his art. Fabian Nicieza, I don't know how you pronounce that. Nicieza is how I've always said it. Debate it in the comments. Is scripter, Joe Rosen letters, and Brad Van Kata on colors. I will say there's something about the colors in this issue where I feel the colorist is trying some different stuff. Some white here for like light reflection and some darker tones here for the shadows. We're slowly moving somehow towards the look of the digital coloring that's going to happen at Image. We're not quite there yet, but already there's some modeling trying to happen, and you know, you're getting different values of the same color to create a bit more reflective lighting, I guess, on the shoulders. Here's what we're getting, and all throughout the issue you'll notice this. So I guess this is Cable kind of courting Warpath to join X-Force. Seems like that's what that is. All throughout this issue you will notice the trademark Liefeld folds, right? And more especially the crotch folds, which I think are hilarious. It always kind of, I have to say, it ends up kind of looking like, this one's a good example. Like if I just show you this out of context, there's probably a bit of shadow because of my finger, but like you're looking, I've always thought it looks like an anus. Not to get weird, but I guess I just got weird. Not so obvious here. Okay, if I see more examples, I'll show you, but that's definitely a good one. Of the anus crotch, I guess is what I'd call it. This whole sequence is a little bit creepy. You probably, I think we know from last issue, I don't think it's a secret, that Gideon had Sunspot's father poisoned, and now you know, he's cuddling up to him here. So yeah, there's some unfortunate incidental story going on there. Interesting choice in the back here, you know. Just filler for background instead of an actual background. There's kind of again, that slight manga vibe to it. One of the weirdest hands I've ever seen. Right? I feel like this is Liefeld kind of trying to do the McFarlane hand, you know, his version of it. And the shot here of, you know, basically what they're deciding to do is join up and leave the New Mutants in the school and stuff. And he wants, Gideon wants Sunspot to go with him. And, you know, this is, I guess, what we called foreshadowing. And there's the shadowing on his face, right? To basically indicate to the reader, in this case, that Gideon maybe doesn't have the best intentions in mind when it comes to Sunspot. And we'll learn more about that later on, maybe a little bit in the next issue of New Mutants, but especially in the early issues of X-Force, with what I think were called the Externals, or the Eternals. I think it was Externals. Yeah, Eternals is Jack Kirby. Deadline is kind of coming up, so the art is, you know, the lines are getting thicker and there's less detail and we're moving along. Okay, there we go. We got some more examples of anus crotch. Got some here. That's pretty close. This whole thing just doesn't work, right? Because they're pretty much, I got just art wise, the couch and these guys are pretty much on the same plane, right? And even these guys here, like the intention is that, you know, they're in the background and this character is closer to us with the couch. I understand that that's the intention, but with it, where their feet finish, you know, basically Cable is on this floor is ahead of her if you measure it out, right? Just by a little bit. So either she's a giant sitting on a giant couch, or they're very small. There's you know, there's something there that doesn't quite work in the perspective. More of the crisscrossy texture here. Checkerboard, I guess is what it's called. I've talked about this before. I think this is one of the best examples of the weird Liefeld profile. I don't know where this is coming from. How he draws, like the heads are much taller than they are wide. The cheekbone is insane in front of the ear here. Like, you know, this is, and we're talking about folds again. Here's, you know, tell me out of context what that looks like. I'm sure you could see it really well now. So there's one of those. I guess this would be Anus Pit. Yeah, just very odd profiles. Always found most of Rob Liefeld's profiles in his art kind of weird looking, and this is just a great example of that. Backgrounds are just becoming more and more non-existent. The colorist is doing a lot of work here, throwing in some different shades and stuff. We got some manga lines, speed lines here. So basically what happens, I guess, at the beginning, if I remember correctly, Warpath denies, Cable, says, I'm not going to join your X-Force. And as he returns home, basically the whole camp has been destroyed or, burnt, killed, whatever it is, his village. And it's, it's not... It is funny that the most far back establishing shot is this panel down here. Why do we know it's Camp Verde? Because he tells us, right? And we don't, all we see is smoke. We don't see any, there's no time to, draw some destruction, or it's just such a smoking pit, completely destroyed that, that's all you're going to get to see. So a bit weak there, could have had a much better establishing shot of a whole area being destroyed. You don't get much of a sense of that. You do get a sense of Warpath being angry, of course. Why? And I guess that's going to be the motivation for him to actually end up joining X-Force, which I think is maybe going to happen next issue. This was always funny to me. It's, I may be criticizing some stuff in the art here, but I want to say I do like this issue. I do like Rob Liefeld overall. He's very young when he's doing this, right? So it's like you can't criticize a young guy for being excited about what he's doing and trying to create the most dynamic, crazy art he can. And he's probably bubbling with ideas and he's throwing them in there from page to page. So, at some point, I think we've had this kind of look for Cable in prior issues, but, this kind of, erudite, intellectual guy in the library. It's just an odd choice for me, but I guess that's how, at that age, Liefeld's trying to get across that Cable's not just a warrior and a cyborg in this, but he's actually very smart and intellectual, I guess, is what he's going for there. But I always thought that was very, very odd, and something that kind of disappears, right? It's kind of in the late issues of the New Mutants, but not in X-Force, right? This doesn't really come back. I'd almost like to see kind of some sort of, retro bring back of Cable, some series where this idea is brought back somehow. That'd be funny. Yeah, also just art-wise, I will mention again that, in these early appearances, not in the first, I don't remember if it was in his initial appearances, but these black streaks that he has are just becoming maybe a little bit more obvious to me throughout the issues. Rob's bringing him back, but it will disappear eventually, and he'll just have the white hair. So this is the page I want to talk about when it comes to Roberto and his situation, how he's kind of leaving, New Mutants. So I'll read this page, right? So let me read the dialogue and you'll see basically when we get to this moment here. That's an interesting look, sir. Right? So I feel like the scripter, the guy who does the script, Fabian Nicieza, he's literally kind of, funneling his thoughts about, I guess, getting Liefeld's pages, and seeing this page all of a sudden with Liefeld dressed like this, as I said, erudite gentleman. That seems to be a comment from Fabian Nicieza himself. That's an interesting look, sir. I mean, well, we are getting to the point today, I assume. Yes, we are. It's hard to talk about it. It's my father. He passed away yesterday. I'm sorry to hear that, Roberto. Yeah, thank you. Heart attack, I've been told. I lost my father at a very young age, too. I know how difficult it can be. So, I mean, up to this point with the introduction of Roberto, the idea that Roberto's dad has been murdered and poisoned to Cable, and all of this seems pretty kind of, regular reactions and things you would say in this situation. And up to this point, everything seems normal. Yes, well, we weren't very close, actually. I see. Still, if you need time away to help settle his affairs, I understand. Actually, I may need more than just a little time away, sir. I may not be coming back. And then it's just very bluntly, and all of a sudden, whatever. Yeah, great. Whatever then. Goodbye, Cable, and good riddance. So, okay, whatever with the reaction here. But just this panel here is just so odd to me. Is it a 90s thing? This seems like the most 90s kind of way to whatever. Like, that's kind of, Cable's supposed to be some, super erudite, intelligent guy. And, he's using 90s surfer lingo to just you know, I don't care kind of, instead of explaining it or anything, he just whatever. It seems like quite an adolescent kind of reaction, if I'm to be honest. Just always thought the dialogue was weird with this one panel here. Maybe again, our friend Fabian is on a deadline. He's got to figure something out and move the story along. And basically what he has to do is, you know, Liefeld sends him these pages, maybe in order, maybe not even in order. That's the thing. I've heard stories of maybe even receiving pages out of sequence and stuff. So he's got to kind of make sense of it through dialogue and make sure that from, you know, page 1 to 22, or however, I'm pretty sure that's the number of pages in these issues. Even if it's not, doesn't matter, that the story flow works and everything. So sometimes it can be jarring, you know, when he turns the page and he sees this. So that's why you get dialogue like this. And here he just doesn't have a lot of room, and he's got to get, you know, rid of Roberto. So I guess this is the quickest way he figured how to do it. But to me, it just kind of, there's already a very obvious difference between erudite, smart Cable and whatever Cable. And Cannonball Sam, not very happy about it. Gotta say, like, kind of a cool drawing and a cool face, but Sam just looks horrible here. Like, he looks like a you know, 45, 50-year-old lesbian or something. It's just a weird face there. So we got the ladies training in the danger room, because I think when they're the New Mutants, they're still living at Xavier's house, right? Again, more examples of, you know, Liefeld, whatever you say about his skill, lack of skill, or lack of storytelling. This page, you know, a lot of dialogue. Things are moving. He's finding ways to make it interesting. You know, the ladies are still moving around and stuff. I guess he's assuming, you know, putting them in bathing suits here is going to titillate. I'd never, you know, would credit Rob Liefeld with drawing the best ladies out there. They're always kind of just strangely muscular in the, like, almost like men. But you know, we understand that they're ladies. They all kind of look like they've had, you know, lots of plastic surgery in the face. You know, more than likely fake boobs and just steroids and stuff, like they're bodybuilders. I guess that's how the look and how I describe them. This page here I thought was interesting. I get kind of a Larson vibe here as far as the proportions go. I don't know, like, you know, you rarely see Cable without his uniform and equipment and stuff, especially when Rob Liefeld's drawn him. But I like this shot here of just the kind of the proportion of it and how it's, I think this drawing is very effective. And again, the proportions are Larson-like to me, if I can use that as a word. So Cannonball, Cable not seeing too eye to eye here, so they're getting to some arguments. Still hanging out in the library and reading some books. Good old smart Cable. So obviously Cannonball is angry that Cable's not doing anything to keep Sunspot around. And this kind of page kind of echoes the cover, right? Of Sunspot leaving, right? That's basically what happens here. Not quite sure who this guy is all of a sudden, and there's a guy's arm. I'm not quite sure who these people are. Is it Cable? Okay, I see. Yeah, just not sure about this guy then. Is he the driver, Gideon? Yeah. Strange that, you know, this character is in no way introduced. Just guy next to car. Gonna assume he's the driver. So you can see kind of in the inking, Liefeld slowly getting his bearings. A lot of this is good, but will improve a lot when we get to X-Force. Oh, so there's Warpath. It was at the end of this issue, so he does come back. I like a lot of the stuff he's doing in the background here for the technology, whether or not it was actually Liefeld or an assistant, because I do think he had assistants around this time. But the idea is good. Obviously, it's probably coming from Barry Windsor Smith on Marvel Comics Presents doing the Weapon X story. And we'll see more of it in that kind of design, I think, in next issue and a few early issues of X-Force, which I think works well and looks pretty cool, actually, with the different kind of red and orange, you know, kind of colors and stuff. I think it looks cool. I've always liked that kind of background. And he leaves us with a parting shot again of our new characters. So I guess partial introduction of Shatterstar here. And we've already seen Farrell at the beginning of this issue. So we get one nice, cool parting shot from her. I guess, you know, at the end of an issue, create excitement for the next issue, introduce those two characters. Kind of a cool way of doing it. She's so actually outside the X-Mansion. And I think she's what's meant to happen here. She's kind of like a cat crawling on a screen, a window screen, and not quite sure what was going on around Shatterstar here. I don't know if that's clothing or some sort of gooey liquid. I'll leave it up to you and your imagination as to what that could be. Weirdly, I don't think we've ever seen this after, but Shatterstar seems to have not a sword here, at least in this design, not a sword that he holds with a hilt or a handle, but kind of Wolverine-esque coming out of the top of his hand. Claws. I don't think necessarily that they wouldn't, but like they're part of his glove. It's kind of a weird thing, just two super long Wolverine claws. But as we've seen with issue 94, I think of New Mutants, Rob Liefeld does already draw Wolverine with some very exaggerated claws as far as length goes. So maybe a bit of inspiration from Wolverine there. There's been talk about this character being ripped off from a manga character. I forget his name. If you have any information on that, let me know in the comments. And even though, as I said, there's some pages that kind of suffer from deadline-itis and you know, getting stuff moving along, I think he knows to, for the parting shot, do some pretty good stuff. So I think these are two pretty cool shots of both characters. And there you have it. That is my review of the New Mutants issue 99. Do you have any questions, comments, anything, you know, some insider information? I'm always into that kind of stuff. Leave that in the comments below. Thank you so much for watching, and I appreciate your support, and subscribe if you haven't done so and you enjoy the videos. I want to hope that everyone out there has a great day.
Like, subscribe, like, subscribe.
King Comics presents Big Baby, Volume 1, Issues 1 to 13, 204 pages of story and art. King Comics also presents Star Crasher one-shot, 32 pages, cosmic sci-fi surrealist adventure. You can find these fine comics at KINGCOMICS.CA, at MaximusRex13 on Instagram, or on Facebook, MaxRex or Big Baby.